A malted barley, sugar, hops and water. Now you can use any type of grain for beer. You can use barley, wheat, maize, millet. You can even use rice if you like. They'll give you a result. The reason we prefer barley, although we do use wheat on two of our summer beers, is for two reasons really. One, barley has the highest level of natural sucrose, a sweetener of any of the grains. It also has a much bigger range of malt flavours to choose from. We have 10 different flavouring malted barleys we use in our various beers. So that's the barley, then we have our sugar and our hops. That's the hop flour itself that we use, and the water. Now the barley we use is grown mainly around Canterbury, South Island, some from Manawatu. Cane sugar, very small amount from Australia now, mostly from Fiji. Our own New Zealand hops, that's the hop flour, are grown in the Nelson, Motueka area, top to South Island. And then of course we've got our own underground bore for our water, more of that down the next floor. Now we've been using that bore for well over 130 years, and not only for brewing, we give it away to tap out the front of the building as I mentioned earlier. So put all those together, that gives you the product that we love. Now as I said, you can use any type of grain. Now for our lighter beers, our lagers and our ales, we use a very lightly kiln lager beer like that, 4 tonne. For our darker beers, a more roasted kiln-dried barley, once again 4 tonne. To those we add up to 5 different flavouring malts according to the recipe. Now basically that all gets milled, drops in the water and forms what we call the mash. Now for a double brewer Speights Gold Medal Ale, that's 50,000 litres of our spring water. Now that mash is then transferred to the kettle, and that's where the real boiling takes place. 90 minutes, well over 110 degrees Celsius. America, it's 230 Fahrenheit. They still use Fahrenheit over there. In miles, in gallons,
yeah.
And they drive on the wrong side of the road. Okay. Now that's where we have the sugar. Now we do have a couple from Germany here. In Germany, beers you're not allowed to add sugar to, because what they have, what they call the Purity Act of 1560. Is that right?
Yes.
Pretty close, aren't we? Yeah. Okay. And that's still the law in Germany, and that was decreed by the then King of Germany and Bavaria. Only product produced or grown on German soil was to be used in German beers. It's still the law, isn't it? But the European Union do allow it as long as you have it on the label that it has that sugar added to it. Now the only beer that we produce that we don't actually add sugar to at the moment is our one beer, and that's our triple hop Pilsner. Made with a very old Czech recipe, no sugar. So it takes 5 days long to ferment the product itself. So basically that's the sugar, and at the same time we add the sugar, we add the hops. Now the hops are actually added to give the aroma, the flavour and the bitterness to beer. That's what they do. Up to 1920, the hop flowers were grown in Kent, in England. Anyone been to Kent? Been there? Did you see the hops growing?
No.
You didn't? You
Maybe I did. I don't know what hops look like.
I saw it on Newcastle.
How much did you have to drink before you got there?
She always drinks.
Oh, well.
What?
Well, that's why you should appreciate the hops. Now, they grow the hops in very big arches, and in the 1920s, 30s and 40s, whole families used to go down there for the hop picking. The men would get up on 10-foot stilts, pick the hops, carry big baskets on their back, I might even show you one after, and pick the hops into those, lower the baskets, and then the women and children would sort them out, because you only use the female flower for hops. The male flower is used for the pollination of the plant. Sort them all out. And for every one of the big baskets, I'll show you afterwards, they used to get 2 shillings in threepence. And it meant that the joker was up on 10-foot stilts for about 6 hours a day, and for that they'd earn 10 shillings for the week. So pretty tough work, isn't it? Anyway, that's the hops. Now hops, as I said, give the aroma, the flavour and the bitterness. Now we use 9 varieties of hops in our various beers because they all give you a different flavour. The interesting thing about the hops is the plant themselves, but I'll get more to that later. Now up to 1980, the hop flowers themselves would be harvested or picked and sent to the brewery. Start the year, we'd use between 12 and 15 kilos of those flowers in the brew. But as the year went on, the flowers lose their strength, so you had to keep increasing the volume. After you go over 30 kilos, not economical. So in 1980, working with a local university in Dunedin, and carrying out a lot of in-house tests, we found by compressing the flowers with boiling water and extruding them into a pelletized form, they could actually be packed into liner sacks, sealed, they keep the same strength right throughout the whole year. So that's your pelletized form there. Now the interesting thing about hops is the plant. The plant itself comes from a very, very small botanical family. There's only 2 plants in the whole family. One plant is the hop plant and it's known as the humunus. The other plant in the family is the cannabis plant. So the botanical name for the 2 plants is Cannabinacea. Did you know that? Oh, good. Now, in here we've got one brand of our hops. Now, we use up to 9 different types of hops. With one hop, a New Zealand hop, Pacific Jade, we put into all of our beers. So I'm going to pass that around, give it a good stir, have a smell. I wouldn't recommend eating it at the moment.
I did once.
You see, this is 73 metres below where we're standing. The brewing curves slowly, we pump that water up to a holding tank on the 7th floor, and that is where we add chlorine to. We have to do that by law. Now that water is allowed a period to become effective, normally 2 to 3 days, and then it would come down through an activated carbon bed to remove all that residual chlorine. Now, up to about 7 months ago, basically that was the way it was done. 7 months ago, this unit here, behind you, that was built and manufactured in Sweden and sent out here. It does the job in half the time. 24 hours, it takes all the residual chlorine out, puts glycol into it, takes the glycol out, softens the water, even warms it up slightly. It then transfers the water into these 2 units here. Now those are 2 of the original brewing kettles installed in 1936. Basically, they hold 120,000 litres of our water for brewing. Now they're all copper, you can actually touch those to be specially coated, but elsewhere on the brew floor you never touch copper with your bare hands because the oil in your hand stains copper black. Now this water treatment room here, we've just had finished here with the steel rods, beams coming down, and then this wall here, it's out about this far from the original wall there, because steel rods have been brought down, brought across, shotcreted over and then painted. All the earthquake strength there. The bottom of this wall, that's a shotcrete. It hasn't been painted because all the Royal Dalton tiles that are around the rest of the wall are going to have to be put back on here to replace it as it was in the Heritage Act. So, and these original mosaics, they're Royal Dalton as well. They were installed there in 1940. They were a birthday present, 21st birthday present from Mr. Speights' daughter. Because as a wee girl, young girl, she used to play here and it was just all painted walls. And when Mr. Speights asked her what she wants for her 21st birthday, she said, I want to be able to do the room up. So he said, go ahead. So this is it. Royal Dalton tiles, Royal Dalton mosaic. Would have been shifted by her birthday present, wouldn't it? Right, now this is the mill room. As I said, the 2 units down there installed in 1929. Now above each mill is a very big hopper, and each of those hoppers holds 4 tonne of grain. Now on the board here you see when the mill starts up, barley drops down through a screen, past these magnets that pick up any metal that might happen to be in the barley, through a feed roller into these milling rollers that crush the barley to separate the seed from the husk. That then drops through the bottom of the mill into what is called the grist case, and it holds on the brew floor. Now you see here anti-explosion shells and anti-explosion devices. Barley when it's being milled is very, very explosive. The dust is almost like gunpowder. That's there to protect us. Now on the wall behind you, that's a photograph taken inside the malt house before the fire in 1940 that burned it down. That shows you how the grain would come in to be stored. Now the men would either climb up the wooden ladder or else haul themselves up on those knotted ropes, lower the length chain down the bottom near the metal hook, hook the sack the hook into the sack, haul the sacks up and stack them, and that would be a year's supply of the barley. On the other wall is another interior view of the malt house. Malt house is always built with a curved roof, and that actually allows the inner area of the air to circulate, so there's no condensation, no moisture drips down on the grain. Yeah. You told me they didn't drink. I got one tape, she said no, we don't drink, so I got those out especially for her. No, seriously, just for those that might be interested, part of our company, Max, not only does beer, does soft drinks. So for those of you who might like to try non-alcoholic drink as well, we do have 3 flavours there: ginger beer, Now, Peugeot and pear, anyone's ever tried Peugeot?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're quite nice, aren't they?
Yeah.
And then a very nice green apple. See, we haven't tried those. In the jug is our spring water, as well as in the book there. This is the book if you get a chance. On the board is a timeline covering about 140 years of Speights history. So I'll cover a bit of that. But most importantly, these are 6 of our 14 beers that you're going to be able to sample tonight. And I hope you'll enjoy them. Okay. Now, the thing is, Jesus, somebody's been into those, haven't they?
Yeah.
That Contiki, I bet you know. It's the wrong thing. Makes a difference in colour, doesn't it? Right, that's better. Right, let's see. Always tell by colour. Lost them at all. Yeah, I know, I couldn't find them. Oh, we meant to lose them. We tried to lose them all bloody tour.
Oh, sorry. You got so close.
Come around this way anyway. Okay. Now, getting back to the serious thing, these are 6 of the 14 beers we do produce. Now, the thing with beer is, forget about drinking it. And I mean that generally. Stop drinking and actually start tasting. You'll be quite surprised. We have people on these tours that elderly people say, don't drink beer, it's terrible, you know, and it goes way back in their mind to probably when Dad had a beer poured out when you were a wee girl, wee boy, and they pinched it and had a drink and thought, oh shit, that stuff's horrible stuff, isn't it? And that's the case. If you just drink beer very, very quickly, I'm afraid you're not picking up the lovely flavours that we're hoping to get. Because 85% of your taste is through the nose, and that's the aroma and the flavour of the product. Only 15% through your mouth. It's not on the tip of the tongue, it's on the sides and the back of the mouth. So to really pick up the lovely flavours, you have a good sniff. Really pick those lovely flavours and aromas. Have a good sip, not just a wee tip of the tongue. Let it go down and let the flavour come back to you. That'll give you the balance. You'll be quite surprised if you do that. I'll quickly run through these and give you some idea of the aromas and flavours we hope you will pick up. We'll see if you pick up when you try them. Now, the first beer on my left is our Speights Gold Medal Ale, our original beer, same recipe since 1876. Now, you find it's got very much of a biscuity, malty aroma and flavour to that, and then the flavour coming back to you, quite a nice vanilla. Then the next beer here is our chocolate ale. Now, you find it's got very much of a cocoa, coffee aroma and flavour, and then you'll pick up that lovely chocolate flavour coming back to you. And then we've got our Summit here. Now, Summit, I personally feel is sort of mid between a wine and a beer. It's very light, very, very fruity, nice fruit flavours coming through there, but it's very mild, and it's great with spicy foods, you know, with Mexican food, chili or anything like that. It's great with those. And then we've got our Distinction, this one here. Now, Distinction is very much of a caramel aroma and flavour to that, and then the flavour coming back to you, a very nice toffee with a touch of butterscotch as well. Next to that, we've got our triple hop Pilsner. Now that is a very strong hoppy beer, but it's got a very nice fruit flavours that come through. Peach and apricot, very fruity, lovely aroma, and the lovely flavours coming back to you. And then last but not least, on the end here, we've got our Speights apple cider. Beautiful apple cider, very strong apple flavour, very nice and refreshing, great to have after you've tried a few of them. You just cleaned your mouth out ready for your dinner. Actually, hands up those who go down for their dinner. Should be a few there, yeah. Oh, that's good.
Downstairs.
Okay.
Sorry. Sorry. Just ignore the question.
No, you already had your dinner. Okay. Now, the other thing, later on, when you get trying tasting those beers, on the screen here, I'm going to put all the Speights ads being produced for that television for Speights since 1992. We think they're humorous, a bit of a laugh, hope you enjoy them. One in particular I will try to attract your attention before it does come on. It was done in 2001 for Speights' 121st anniversary, and it's dogs and sheep singing happy birthday to Speights. Right. Now, you're going to be coming around here to pour your own beers out now, is that alright? Yeah. You're still saying they don't drink? How did you get the old people seat? Let's put especially for the old beers that can't get up, the seats are too high for them. Okay. Alright, you're going to pour your own beers out. Now the beers are all labelled over the back here corresponding with the front. as a brewer, what I'm saying to you, always look on the front and see which ones you want to try, and always taste beer from the lightest colour up to the darkest colour, and better still, leave the cider until last, and that just cleans your mouth out very, very nice. So, okay, these are not pump taps. You don't pump the beer out, you must pull the tap on full. Alright? So hold your glass on a bit of an angle, straight as it fills. Don't touch the tap with the glass and don't let the tap get in the beer. So instead of grabbing the handle, what you do is put your hand behind it, pull it onto you, just in one motion, straighten the glass and turn it off and it'll stop straight away. Now if you are wanting just to taste any of them, so for you do need half a glass, just still pull the tap on full and off, and that'll give you about that much. Now, as I said, the beers are labelled over there. If you come around this way, there's clean glasses. You can clean glass each time, or you can rinse the glass out under the tap marked hot. It's not really hot, it's slightly warm. So that one there if you like. But away you go. Any help, just give us a yell. I'll wait on you here and I'll call it for you.